Today we're looking at about 15 rookies who are hiding on your fantasy football draft cheat sheet. These guys are late round picks. These guys are dart throws. We talked about the previous wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends that are rookies in ADP. Now we're looking at the back end of the draft, the last 15 or so players, those rookies that you're looking to get as lottery tickets, those upside plays. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're talking about these players every day. We're doing deep dives. We're doing player lists. After the draft, once we get in season, we're talking about the waiver wire non-stop. We're helping you set your lineups. It's all right here on this channel per these videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out. The first rookie we're looking at today is rookie Pearsall because he's coming off the board in round 14 and he's an upside play. Brandon Ayuk's back. We knew he was going to be back. The odds were pretty good for that. Deebo Samuel's there as well. There's not many opportunities for targets right now, but he's a first-round wide receiver. If one of these wide receivers break or get injured, you know what? Pearsall might get some run. He's a guy to pay attention to. You might see him off the waiver wire later this season or something like that. First-round wide receiver, good route running, very technical, good size adjusted athleticism, very quick, a guy to pay attention to nonetheless. The next wide receiver is Jalen McMillan. He's got a lot of upside. He's been killing it in training camp. He's going to be on the field. He's going to be a starter. They're going to run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets here. He's going to get a lot of run. Of course, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's going to out-target him. If something happens to one of those veteran wide receivers, he'll see an increase in targets, but he has a lot of upside. He has been a big time riser through preseason and training camp and could be rising throughout the year. MarShawn Lloyd, round 15 draft capital, but his ADP is climbing right now due to the A.J. Dillon news. You need to pay attention to him. He had a hamstring injury throughout training camp. We thought he was going to go to IR. That didn't happen. He could be still dealing with that to some degree. That could slow him down, but he might be a guy you want to stash because he has the size of just athleticism to make it happen. And if something happens to Josh Jacobs and he gets the workload, he's a dart throw in the round 15 range, 14, 13 range of your drafts, depending on where he's going. He's got the upside to really bring it home for you. Ben Sinnott, the tight end 2 with Zach Ertz on the team. He's got a lot of upside due to his size adjusted athleticism. Jaden Daniels is in that fast RPO offense. They're trying to get the ball out quick so they can keep him upright. That means the short targets are going to go to tight ends, out in the flat to the running backs. That could grant him some opportunity later in the season. Kimani Vidal, round 16, a deep stash for you in fantasy football. Projected as the RB3. They added Hassan Haskins a few days ago. Former Michigan running back, played with Harbaugh. So this is something to monitor. A lot of people like Vidal. Whenever he's got the ball in his hands in preseason, it looks good. Very productive out of Troy. Can catch the ball in the backfield, has good size. And the starting running backs, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. They have a tremendous injury history as well. Vidal's another lottery ticket stash for your fantasy team. Jerome Burton's been turning it on in preseason. He's got upside for days. Drafted as like the T. Higgins replacement due to his ability to play on the outside and stretch the field, but can also play the slot as well. Look for him to do something middle of the season because he's very talented. Once things start to click, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. You may not want to draft him right now. You might be looking at him off waivers later. Bo Nix, round 16 per underdog ADP. He's a quarterback really that you're going to play the matchups with. Hopefully by this time, you got your quarterback. If not, you're probably in a deeper league or looking for a QB2. I suggest not getting a QB2 and just playing the waivers once something happens to your quarterback. Bo Nix, though, he's a rookie. He may have those rookie ups and downs. But again, a quarterback you're probably playing matchups with. Tyron Tracey had an injured ankle earlier. He was carted off. A lot of people thought his season was over. He's back. We're going to see how back he is and what degree he is on the field. But again, he's another upside play. He's got good pop off the step out of Purdue and could be another guy middle of the season you're pulling strings for off the waiver wire. Luke McCaffrey. His value went up once Jahan Dotson got traded to Philadelphia. Prior to that, he wasn't being drafted at all. Now people are taking stabs at him. He could be in the slot here for the Commanders more often than not, and could be a guy that just comes out of nowhere. Sometimes we get rookies that people aren't thinking about that comes out of nowhere. That could be Luke McCaffrey this season. Malachi Corley might be that rookie that comes out of nowhere. No one's really talking about him. He's an afterthought. I know we got Garrett Wilson. I know we got Breece Hall. I know Mike Williams is back. I know there's some targets in this offense, but he's going to hover around the line of scrimmage, get those short targets. He's going to be good around the goal line. He can get you yards after the catch. They call him the Yak King. He's thick, he's fast, he can break tackles, and that could be a surprise option for you off the waiver wire. He's got round 17 draft capital on Underdog Fantasy, but a player to pay attention to nonetheless. Jordan Whittington has been blowing up training camp, looking good in preseason, a guy to pay attention to. The Rams are very quiet when it comes to how they're strategically building their team. I know they talked about Kyron Williams returning punts, but honestly, Puka Nacua last year when it came to getting training camp clips, really hard to find, but you all of a sudden just heard little bits of information about him. You're hearing little bits of information about Jordan Whittington. He's a fascinating prospect who's just climbing up the boards and drafts. A few months ago, prior to training camp, nobody was drafting him. Now people are drafting him in the 17th round of Underdog. Audric Estime has been falling off the board. He's down like a round and a half. He's down a few spots in the running back rankings per Underdog ADP, but if something happens midseason, or if they decide to move on from Javonte because they're playing for the future, they're going to look at Audric Estime, and he's solid between the tackles. He's got a lot of gusto to his game. He was one of the most productive running backs in college football, played for a good program in Notre Dame, and is very good seeing the holes. He's got good vision, moves laterally very well. Not the fastest running back, but he's got power, and he's dirt cheap. Carson, Steele, everybody loves him. They brought in Samaje Perine. Carson is still good around the goal line, still good between the tackles. If something happens to Pacheco, it might be a committee anyways. They do have a history of using multiple running backs, so Carson Steele might get more run than anticipated still, and he's still been looking good. He's still been looking solid. He's a free dart throw. Roman Wilson, you forgot about him, but he might get some opportunities on the field, but in training camp, he was injured, banged up. He was looking good prior to that. He's a good route runner. He's got good speed. Maybe he gets some opportunity behind George Pickens. It's very ambiguous, so down the line, look for him. More of a waiver wire get later on down the road. Malik Washington is a guy that needs his own video, and I will post one today, tomorrow, sometime during the weekend. He's got upside, and the depth chart's clearing out for him. He's a guy that could come out of nowhere. He was looking good during draft season. At the Shrine game, he was going off. He looked good at the Combine, and he was productive last year, 1,400 yards at Virginia. This is a player you need to put on notice. You need to pay attention to. If he starts running a lot of snaps, running a lot of routes, you need to pay attention to him because he's a player that could go off. Will Shipley, handcuff running back that you're stashing if you can, if you got deep enough rosters, if your league's got deep enough pockets that allows you to stash this deep. But he's a rookie that was very productive out of Clemson, good at all phases, good between the tackles, good catching the ball out of the backfield, decent athleticism. He's good at everything, just not great at anything. Big time prospect coming out of high school, went to Clemson, everybody was paying attention to him throughout his collegiate career. Those are the rookies hiding on your cheat sheet right now. You're drafting today, you're drafting tomorrow, you're drafting on Labor Day. You need to know these late round picks, these upside rookies. Pick your poison on them. Let me know who you're getting in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.